Hello and welcome to another episode of me sitting in a chair chatting to you in one of my monologues. It's very nice of you to join me. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who has kept the channel going by making various donations, supporting the channel in whichever way you do, sharing the videos and sending emails from time to time and asking me certain questions about some of the things that I've been talking about. And of course, Biggleswick, my book, The Town That Wouldn't Comply, those people who very kindly asked to purchase a copy and indeed have then gone on to buy a copy. It's really very encouraging. And thank you also for the feedback. It's been absolute delight to not only write the book, but also be able to present it to you, and then to find out that a lot of people have found it, as somebody said, I've heard that it's funny, and there are funny parts in it, but also, as far as I'm aware, that it gives, I hope, I should say, that it gives some solutions or some thoughts to where we might go as a people, trying to find a way out of the nonsense that's been thrust upon us as we start to wake up or become aware of the evil intent of those that would do us down. Anyway, thank you for all of that. It's very kind. I also want to say a thank you to a lady called Jo, who very kindly sent me a book called Mr. Digwell, A Year in the Garden, which Julia and I have been examining very thoroughly. And now that my health has returned, which has been an absolute godsend, it means that we can get back on the land, and the English couple videos on the other channel that we do will resume very soon. I appreciate we haven't done a lot in the recent months. It's been awful weather, as you probably know, certainly here in Britain, and it's just been not conducive to do stuff. But behind the scenes, we are doing bits and pieces. Yesterday, we went to see a friend who picked up some wonderful scaffold boards to build a veranda in front of our workshop that we're doing. So we've got lots of little projects to get on with, so that can actually help keep the workshop dry and also give us a place to sit and enjoy the landscape. Because as well as working hard on stuff, one needs to have the reward of what you've done, to be able to look at it and enjoy life and nature and watch nature. So thank you, Jo, for that book. It's been very kind. Now, recently I was on a podcast, which I suspect, I don't know for sure, but I suspect has been released. And it's called, if I remember rightly, it's called Propaganda. And there is a lovely little book that the lady in charge, whose name is Emma Dunwell, who interviewed me for this, you may have heard of her. She has a channel, she does a podcast, and she is selling or giving away these books. It says here at various protests you can get this free, so I just thought I would give that a bit of a promotion. There's all sorts of information in this book. This is issue number 1. Such as, what have we got in here? I'll just have a look at the contents. I suppose a bit like the light paper that you may be well aware of. And what have we got? I'm just going to have a quick look. Because it's got a nice piece about Katie, Jo and Sadie from Hope, Sussex. They definitely need a bit of promotion and support. A bit about Bob Moran and his profile on him. Technology and the cost of progress. There is heritage crafts that can resolve the mess they call neat, and men in women's sports. Yes. So anyway, it's a lovely little thing. I'll give you the place to go and get it. But there's for me, what was interesting. Oh, there's good old Sandy Adams in there talking about the 17 sustainable development goals that we're being forced to have. There's a lovely thing about raw milk. And if you're not drinking raw milk, I don't know why. 150 calories, it says here, in one creamy glass, approximately 8 grams of premium protein, 30% of your daily calcium for rock solid bones, live enzymes, probiotics, all the sort of stuff that is in raw milk. which is removed from the processed nonsense that you see in the supermarkets. Anyway, it's all in here. And if you're interested to sort of have a copy, I'll put this in front, and I hope this focus up, because it's got one of those, I forget what they call them, QR code, I think it is. I'll do that. I don't know if that will focus up, and you might be able to do something on the screen. Otherwise, you go to espeakfreely.com and you can get a copy. I think it's £5. It says, get yours before they make paper itself a restricted commodity. I love the analogue world, things on real paper, real books, real printed things, rather than the digital media and all of that nonsense that we're going to. So maybe that will be it. I'll put a link in the description anyway. So I want to talk about freedom. What is freedom? Songwriters are always writing about it. Singers are singing about, being free and being that. We're all talking about it in this space, aren't we? Being free at last from the chains of those that would oppress us, and breaking away from the slave mentality that we've been given or grown up with. But what does it really mean, and how do we attain it? And do we really know what freedom is? Is it more than just a state of mind? Is it a physicality? And can we attain it? And we're in a system. We know that we're in a system that locks us and binds us. We have rules and regulations and legislation that seems to be out of control. We see that the MPs, or certain ones behind closed doors, are making ever more rules and regulations, and they seem to have the power to do that. And I would love to know where they get their authority from. Of course, if you vote for a government, if you take part in the system in that way and sign up, as a lot of people do, to think that they can change a government and therefore change the nature of what is coming upon us, then we can make a difference. But actually, I think when you analyse this, as many people have, that is really just entering into their monopoly game, that you agree to take part, and whoever wins, and you've got to accept it. You've got to suck up and see. We know, do we not, that protests really do not work, and indeed the petitions do not work. They may, if significant numbers get signed up to these things or trudge around through the streets, they may get the government a bit edgy and a bit worried. But does it really stop them? I mean, look at the current government at the moment. Nothing seems to be able to stop them, no matter how nasty they appear to be, with their masks well and truly off, and you see the sneers. They certainly do not seem to be working for people anymore. Did they ever? Were they always working for their own interests? And yet people think, no, we've got to vote for somebody to make that change. And I've said for some time that I don't believe that any government is ever working for the people. I think perhaps the idea, the concept of having a representative in your towns and shires that is supposed to take your ideas, demands, wishes, your complaints, perhaps your problems up the chain, so that the so-called executive office can then say, well, this is what the people want, let us do something about it. I think the idea of that is probably something that is a good idea, if it was ever to work. But we know that it doesn't work that way. It is those at the top that look down on the great unwashed and say, no, you're not having any of those freedoms. We have, of course, we have our masters who are pulling our strings and telling us what we have to do. And so we know that it really isn't the way it is being sold to anybody. But what is freedom? What does it mean? Free to do whatever you like? Are we ever free to do whatever we like? Obviously, there are we are judged, I suppose, by our morals. And, there are certain morals, you would say, like thou shalt not kill. I think that's a good one, unless, of course, you're about to be killed yourself. Everyone should have the right, I would say, to defend themselves if they're about to have their head chopped off or their leg chopped off or their goods stolen. I say goods, but I don't really mean goods. I mean their property, the things that they have aspired to and worked for, and somebody else wants to take it away. One should be able to defend oneself. I admit that. But just cold-blooded murder, of course, is not a very good idea. And so there are certain things that I think that are inherent in the human psyche that we know we shouldn't do. But human nature is a strange old thing, isn't it? There's always going to be those that are kind, generous, who will do acts of generosity, acts of kindness, who will be benevolent to one another, who will go the extra mile. There will always be those. There will be those that just potter along and not really sort of poke their nose into other people's business and just keep their head down and be happy with their lot. And then, of course, there's those others in human nature who will always want to get one over on somebody else, be better than someone else, to inflict pain, to be nasty, to try and climb the greasy pole whichever way they want. And you could argue that all of that really is freedom, the freedom to do those things. Should people be free to be nasty to one another? Freedom is a strange term, it seems to me. Freedom sort of says, well, you could do anything you like, but we really do need to have some form of agreements, don't we, in order to get on. But those agreements need to be fashioned and discussed and thought about. I mean, a couple living together need to be able to have certain agreements, and I'm not necessarily talking about the nuptials, but agreeing to be nice to one another, to whatever, and if things go sour, to be able to walk away. But freedom is a strange term. We sing about it, we want it, we pine for it. Do we really know what it is? And I think that's the main question. Have we really thought, what does freedom look like? In my book, Biggleswick, I talk a lot about the question that people often say is, we don't want this, or the subject they say, we don't want this, we don't want the 5G, we don't want 17 sustainable goals, not if they are to oppress us. We don't want net zero policies, again, if it is to confine us into 15-minute cities. We don't want all of this. But the question we very rarely ask, it seems, or even think to ourselves, what exactly do we want? We say very glibly, well, we want freedom. But what does that really look like? Are we saying that we don't want tyranny? We don't want the police beating us up. We don't want bailiffs coming in and evicting us. We don't want the council acting as the mafia. We don't want the government making all the decisions without really consulting anybody else. We'd rather have perhaps a grassroots up. I mean, I think most people have some form of grip on what they want, but not the finer details. Some people just want to escape out of the system because the system is, as we know, corrupt. The judiciary, the police, bailiffs, the council, the government, all these people. And I often say, where do you get your authority from to have any power over me? Where is that authority? Oh, well, it's in legislation. Oh, it's the local finance act 2000 and whatever it is, 2007, is it? 2007, I don't know. They point to a bit of legislation. Well, who made that legislation? Where did that come from? Was I involved in that? We were all born on this planet, on this flat plane, into this whatever it is, a simulation. We were all born here with nothing, and we go with nothing. And yet there are those that would have some bent power to say, well, I am better than you. I am stronger, faster, more powerful, and therefore I am going to tell you what to do. But is that right? Should they? Where do you get your authority from? And how and what does it mean to be free? Freedom is a strange term, and Julia and I are looking to be free with our growing. We know that the government at the moment is penalising farmers. They're acting incredibly weirdly, certainly not for the people, and therefore many of us don't like that. And yet we feel oppressed. We feel that we're slaves. We feel that we're being pushed down, that we have to abide by their written legislation. And we go on these protests, and we petition against things, and we take part in voting, and we try to change the government. Is that freedom? Is that really freedom? There are many of us that say, no, I don't want it. I don't consent. I just don't believe. You may have the bigger sticks and the comedy uniforms. You may have the pepper spray and the what do you call that thing? The tasers. And in some cases, you may have the guns. You may have judges with wigs that dress up in fancy dress outfits with gavels. You may have people, with clipboards and lanyards saying, well, I have authority. But where do you get your authority from? And am I obliged, really, to take part in this? What is freedom? What does it really mean? Have we really thought it through? Julia and I, as I say, we want to get a bit of land. For us, the freedom is to be able to just exist without people interfering, without them telling us what to do. We're ordinary, everyday people. We just want to grow things. We want to have self-sufficiency. We want to be able to eventually live off the land and enjoy nature. We don't want to have things like fluoride in the water, aeroplanes ruining the skies, people banging on the door saying you can't do this and you can't do that when we're not harming anyone else. Is that what freedom is? Is that what we're looking for? I'd love to know what you think freedom really means. And have we thought it through? And are enough people aware that there is such a thing as freedom? It seems to me that when you look out the window, you'll go into the town, or you meet people here, there and everywhere at the bus stops. We've been brought up inside this system where we've been trained to be somebody we're not, a name that has been copyrighted by the Crown. We've been told that we must work from 9 to 5 or longer, that we must earn money to afford a house in order to pay a council tax so that we can have the bins collected. And we've been urged to buy ever more and upgrade every single time. And we've been urged to push that everything must be digital and no longer real or physical, that it's all in effect ethereal. We've been sold something. To me, in my mind, a sense of that it's supposed to be free. You'll be free when you're a digital, stuck behind in a virtual world. You'll be free because everything is for your benefit. But it seems to me that all of that so-called freedom, those things that are for our benefit, is just a big trap, evermore to squeeze us down. What is freedom? What does it really mean? What does it mean to you? And have you actually sat down and considered what you would do if you were free? Answers on a postcard. Send them to me at Biggleswick Farm. No, put them in the comments. It's far easier. It's more convenient. And after all, when they switch off the digital world, it'll all disappear in a puff of smoke. Will it have been worth it? I wonder. What does it mean to be free? That's my question. That's my thoughts for today. And thank you if you have watched. I appreciate it. And I will see you on the next one. Till then, goodbye.